time for questions. So in my role as I actually wear three hats. I'm vice president for administration. I am secretary to the board of trustees and also associate general counsel. So I have three different roles, and they're slightly different. As the vice president for administration, I'm responsible for oversight of a number of central university functions, including the Board of Trustees office, the Office of Ethics and Compliance, the Office of Veteran Services, and the President's office staff, including the folks that do the speech writing for the president and the provost, and those who respond to the thousands of emails that come in every year to the Office of the President email box. In addition, I'm responsible for helping President Barron set the President's Council agenda. If you don't know, President's Council is a group of 21 senior leaders from across the university that essentially serve as the president's cabinet. We meet once a week for a couple of hours every Monday afternoon, and there are very few issues of any importance that face the university that don't run through President's Council in one way or another. As Vice President for Administration, I serve as the chair of the University Policy Administration Committee, which is a group of what we refer to as policy stewards who are responsible for the various categories of university policies. There are hundreds of them in the areas of administrative policies, HR policies, research, safety, finance, et cetera. And the Facilities and Academic Unit Naming Committee, which is a bit of a mouthful, but we vet and approve requests that come up through the university for honorific namings, essentially, of both buildings and parts of buildings, rooms within buildings, academic units, and make sure that the proposals are consistent with university policy on that. I also serve on a number of other committees, working groups, task forces, including, and this is just a kind of a partial list, the Ethics Committee, the Ethics and Compliance Council, the Athletics Integrity Council, the Campus Environment Team. For about a year, actually it's been more than a year now. I've been on the COVID management team and the executive leadership team that has for a year and plus a couple months now reviewed, analyzed, addressed the thousands of issues that have come across relating to the COVID pandemic and the university's response. I oversee the staff support for all executive searches for positions that report to the president. So that's a significant piece of the job. And then finally, together with Provost Jones and Senior Vice President for Finance and Business, Sarah Thorndike, the three of us serve as senior advisors to the president on a wide variety of things. We also meet weekly. So that's the nutshell version of that piece of it. Listed out like that, a bunch of committees, it doesn't sound all that interesting, but believe me, it is interesting every single day. It's amazing the depth and the breadth and the variety of issues that I get a chance to see and weigh in on. Just today, I went from a meeting on planning for the next University Values and Culture Survey to a meeting about athletics, and then to a meeting about changes to financial policies. So every day is different, and every day is a new set of opportunities and challenges. So it makes it an interesting position. In my role as secretary to the board, technically I'm responsible for the minutes, but that's really the minor part of it. The majority of the time is spent assisting board leadership and the committee chairs in crafting their agendas. When you think about this, Penn State is an enormously complex institution. 24 campuses, a medical school, 2 law schools, an enormous healthcare enterprise, 100,000 students, a $7 billion budget. And pursuant to the charter of the university and Pennsylvania law, the ultimate governance of that enormous enterprise is in the hands of 36 part-time unpaid volunteers. That's an amazing thing. Now the board delegates day-to-day management to the president, and he delegates downward to the vice presidents, and authority is delegated to others throughout the university to actually run this place. But the challenge of making the most effective and efficient use of the 36 board members' time is significant, and so that's a big part of what I do, is help the board members collectively and board leadership fulfill their fiduciary oversight responsibility. Finally, in my role as Associate General Counsel, where I was before taking this Vice President position, I still do a little bit of legal work on a variety of things. My training is as a corporate lawyer. I spent 30 years as a lawyer at a big firm in Pittsburgh before I came to Penn State. So I still do a little work on the legal side, but not really as much as I thought I might be able to do when I took this position. So when you put it all together, I think I have one of the best jobs in the world. It's an opportunity to make a contribution to the university's reputation as a world-class institution that is accessible and affordable and fulfilling its land grant mission of teaching, research, and service. And I have to say that having an office in Old Main, for a person who went to Penn State, I'm a Penn State alum, for a person who went to Penn State, to have an office in Old Main and to hear those bells chime and the students are outside my window changing classes or heading wherever, and to think that I'm able to make some small contribution to that, it's a fantastic experience. So I feel very, very lucky. So that's Lexi, a very kind of abbreviated version, but I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Yeah, thank you. I second that. I encourage to ask questions too about your role, specifically with how much reach you have across the university. So with that, are there any representatives with questions? And if you do, please raise your hand. Representative Bose.
Erin Bose at large. Hi, Frank. Thank you so much for coming
Hi,
in to speak with us. I was wondering, you touched a little bit on the complexities of the university and also the diverse needs of the student body. And within your different roles and responsibilities, I was just wondering, how have you found best in your communication with the rest of administration to not only evaluate and communicate the most general and overarching needs of the entire student body, but also not forgetting some of the unique needs that some students might have that might be outliers to the rest of the needs of the student body?
Yeah, it's a part of the, I think, the fabric of every administrator's role, I think, is to think first about how every decision that we make, how's it affect the students? How is it going to affect the students from a financial perspective, from a growth perspective, from an academic perspective? And so that's front of mind for myself and all of my colleagues. I think that Renata and Yvonne would share that's why we're here. And so and you're right, students are not cookie cutter robots, right? Everybody is unique. Everybody's got a different background. Everybody's got a different experience. I mean, that's what makes it all so interesting and so fun to work at a place like this. So yeah, everything that we do is kind of funneled through the idea of let's focus on the students.
Are there any other questions? Chair Mishler?
Hi. So I have one that's not necessarily super relevant to your role, but I think it's relevant to some other roles that you've held, especially being a Penn Stater. What advice would you give to your Penn State student self in your position that you are now? How would you reflect back?
This is not the first time I've actually thought about this, because I was on the very first varsity volleyball team at Penn State and played 2 years on the club team before we became varsity and 2 years on the varsity. And if I had any advice back to my self, is that I would have spent more time, that I had more of my free time in other activities outside of athletics. It was a big time commitment, but the time that I spent sitting in the dorm, playing cards with the guys on the floor, I could have been doing something else. So I would have been more kind of active in exploring other opportunities, because there are literally thousands of them, and I think that going through Penn State and not taking advantage of all that is a great lost opportunity.
Thank you for that advice. And I'll leave it. We do have a little bit of time, so if there are any other questions, I'll give it about a little bit, and please raise your hand if so. All right.
Okay, well, easy enough.
Yeah, seeing no other questions, thank you so much for coming in, Frank. And we hope to see you soon. Yeah.
Sure thing. And before I go, I want to just acknowledge the hard work that you and the rest of this group do. I've been really impressed in the time that I've been in Penn State with how kind of thoughtful and diligent and active the students have been. It's really a credit to all of you and to your predecessors. I think you've been able to make an impact, and I congratulate you for that.
Thank you so much. And I mean that on behalf of the Assembly. I know we appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Feel free to stick around, but I always say this, our meetings depend, it could run really long, so feel free to hop off as well. But we do appreciate the time you took tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Bye.
Alrighty. So let's move on to line item B with Yvonne Godelius and Renata Engel from Faculty Senate. We are very appreciative for you guys for coming in tonight. Same thing, you'll have 5 minutes to speak and then 10 minutes for questions. And if you do have anything to share in terms of a PowerPoint, you do have the ability to share your screen. But thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome. And perhaps we should correct the record to start with. We're not actually representing Faculty Senate, but we are actually here on behalf of the some of the COVID response teams. And you could also even say perhaps of our work with One Penn State 2025. So I know you do like to keep your record straight. So I wanted to make sure that we got that record corrected. But it's so great to be here tonight. Really is. Yvonne, I'll pass it to you to start.
Yeah, let me add my thanks to that. I also want to echo two things that Frank said. First of all, to thank you all for your commitment, the energy, the great thinking that you put into making Penn State a better place. We're here because of you. And I mean, that's the second thing Frank said. We have jobs here because you are our students here. And we work to make things better, and we couldn't do that without you. So as Renata and I, so we met with Patricia. I know Patricia's on the call tonight. And time blurs during COVID. I'm sure you've all experienced this too. So it was a while ago. But about the ways that COVID has both changed things, but maybe improved things, and how can we carry these lessons forward into making Penn State better? And this connects to what Renata was just saying too, with One Penn State 2025, a vision for the future of Penn State. So getting ready for this, we were thinking of some examples, and one example might be early on, we started thinking about, okay, so remote learning. Last March, almost a year ago, when we suddenly switched to remote and having to think about what did this require to go remote? So we started having a remote website that was remote-learning.pennstate or .psu.edu. And then we realized, no, remote learning isn't the thing, it's keep learning. And it's about how do we create a website that brings people together, that brings collaboration, that it doesn't matter where the information is coming from. It really is focused on students. What do students need to know during this period of time that is going to help them learn, that is going to help them continue to make progress towards their degrees, that is going to help them be successful? And how do we sort of bridge our administrative structures, bridge our structures of campuses, and really work together to create a very unified approach to this. And it's, on the one hand, it sounds like a very simple thing. On the other hand, it's something we hadn't really done before, to think in this kind of way that crossed boundaries, crossed silos, to really focus on what do learners need. But then when Renata and I talked about this, it's also one of the things that's at the core of One Penn State 2025, where it really puts Penn State learners at the center of everything we do. So how do we make learning more accessible? How do we make it more seamless? How do we make it so that no matter where you are in your Penn State career, you can access the resources that Penn State has, no matter what campus you're at, no matter where you sit in the Commonwealth or in the world, you can access those resources. So that's just one example, and then I'll turn over to Renata to share another example.
Yeah, so some of the things that we think about, and maybe we should say a little bit about who we are. I mentioned that we are sort of leading the some of the teams associated with the COVID response for the academic side of things. But we also have regular positions at the university. I'm the vice provost for online education. World Campus is my primary responsibility. And Yvonne Gadelius is the interim vice president and dean of undergraduate education. When Frank was talking about the president's council, Yvonne sits on the president's council. I sit on the provost staff as a vice provost. And basically, the reason why that matters is we do have the ability to work across a lot of different sectors in terms of how we think about this. And so we were very fortunate to be able to reach out to people. I guess maybe one of the things I want all of you to know is that since last March, and it is 1 year anniversary since our first teams pulled together to figure out how to respond to COVID. Today is the day. It's our first anniversary.
Yeah, 1 year today from our first meeting of our team. We had a very small group that met in the Alumni Lounge of Old Main. It was about 14 people. That group at one point swelled to over 300 people, faculty, staff across the university, working, whether it was the spring or then the summer, then roll into the fall. And what you need to know, I think, is that every time we called out to a faculty member, a staff member to be on one of these teams to help us, first of all, people took our emails every single time, and not a single person ever said no to us. Not one. Not one. Every time. And the number of times that our conversations focus solely on how do we help students. We need to make sure students are making progress toward the completion of their degrees. So you just need to know it's not the two of us. There's a whole team of people that have been really working on this. So let me give you another example. Some of the things that we think about is we are living in a digital age. My goodness, look at this remote learning environment that we're in. And we need it right now in the way it is. But we also know that we're in a digital age no matter what. And so as we return to more of what we're used to, there are some things about this digital age and the digital environment that we're in that we're going to want to keep. We don't know what those are going to be yet. We're kind of hoping tonight you might share with us some of your ideas. But some of the things that we particularly like are tutors, that peer tutors that are no longer situated in a learning center, but a tutor at one campus could be a tutor to a student at a different campus. We've heard some great examples of this. We recognize different things of the library resources that have expanded, particularly around open educational resources. Terrific things. How much are we going to be able to keep and then elevate this? Other examples, the opportunities for
counseling, of mental health counseling and support services that have been needed to be delivered and supported in a digital environment actually expanded what was available to students. So there are many examples that we are seeing that we are hoping and working on retaining through this. What we'd like to hear from you tonight is what are the things that you want us to make sure are on our radar for retaining for the benefit of students? And so if you could share that with us, it'd be terrific. If you put them in chat, I'll grab them and we'll put them into a document that we're using that documents the kind of information and things that we need going forward. So I'm going to stop there because we're really anxious to hear from you.
Yeah, I think for the next 10 minutes, if any representatives, if you want to give your input to help out Renata and Yvonne, I definitely welcome that. If you have any questions for them as well, feel free. But again, as they said, use the chat too. But we'll start off. Is there anyone that wants to speak or ask a question? Representative Reynolds.
Joshua Reynolds at large. Thank you both for coming. Out of all of the different transitions you've had to make due to COVID, and you've talked about changes that have been positive and wanting to retain those, what is probably the biggest unexpected growth that you've seen in any initiative due to the online transition?
Great question.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. Oh, man.
I mean, so for me, one of the unexpected things, but it's both unexpected and expected at the same time, was, and Renata referred to this, just the way that people came together. And it wasn't about like, I'm in this unit, I'm in that unit. It really was like, how do we just make things better for students? How do we make things so that students can learn? And that was a little bit unexpected. It was terrific. It was what we needed. But I don't think I would have predicted that a year ago.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of one conversation I had. It was probably about not a year precisely since we just started our work a year ago. This is our 1-year anniversary, but very shortly afterwards, right after all of you came back, well, actually it was the Friday before you came back from spring break and joined remotely. It was that Friday, and what we were worried about was, would students be able to connect with their classes? Now, you have to think about this. Here we were switching the entire university to be remote, and we were doing it quickly. And so I contacted somebody in the central IT unit, and I said, in our back-end systems, could we find out if students are connecting? Because if you can't connect, how can we ask you if you can connect? We can't say, Joshua, can you connect? But you can't hear us because you can't connect, right? So we said, is there a back-end way we can just see if students are connecting? And they thought, and they said, yes, there is. And so then we turned around within like 15 minutes and said to advisors, if you had that information about who wasn't connecting, do you have phone numbers? How might we connect with students to find out what is the problem, the reason they can't connect? Is it because they don't have an internet connection? Is it because they're still just trying to get situated at home? What is the reason, right? And then when we found out that students might not have computers, that could be the reason why they weren't connecting. The university sent out a call across every unit across the university and said, do you have any laptops, any iPads, any hotspots that aren't being used right now? We want to re-image them and send them to students. Now, we did that all so quickly, but it was literally call after call after call. And when I think about, did I think we would come up with a solution? I was pretty sure we'd come up with a solution. I didn't realize it would happen that fast and that we would be able to be that nimble. We have 90-some thousand students. This was truly amazing. That, I think, when I saw that very first 1 or 2 weeks, I thought, we've got this. We are going to get through this as a university together, working to help students make progress toward their degrees. Yeah. So that was, I think it's probably the one that just still to this day surprises me that we were able to do that. Yeah.
Representative Flegel?
Kara Flegel, Eberly College of Science. Thank you guys both so much for being here. My question is, what accommodations are you guys investigating for students who have learning disabilities, which makes online learning especially hard? For example, ADHD or ADD?
I can perhaps comment on that a little bit too. So because I'm the Vice Provost for Online Education and World Campus is my responsibility, we actually have a pretty solid unit that handles this routinely. Because it's the way we grew up. You know, we're celebrating our 23rd year at Penn State as an online education provider in terms of that World Campus. And so we have built strong teams to look at some issues around ADA, really a lot of, whether it's physical mobility, so it could be hearing impairment, visual impairment, or any sort of learning disability. So we do have robust systems. I think what we're going to be sort of working on more in the future is in the other settings that we have now with some other remote environments, kind of exposure for students, is how to translate some of those things to that environment. But there has been actually quite a bit done, and we work very closely with the office that has the responsibility for the University Student Disability Services Office. So we work with that. But I think the resources that have been established and have been put out there a little bit more, and we probably need to do more of it because, quite frankly, it's always going to be necessary. And today is the anniversary of ADA, a policy for the nation, the federal guidelines. So great question, especially for today. Yvonne.
I was just going to say too, like it was one of the considerations all through, even when we were looking at providing masks for in-person instruction in classrooms. And it was like, okay, recognition that students who had hearing disabilities, they needed a clear mask. How did we solve this? But then a recognition too, and this is true with much of universal design, that it's not only good for those students, it's also good for foreign language and all sorts of other courses where really seeing someone's mouth move is important. So having clear masks is a critical part. So working to incorporate that just in part of what we did.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned something that I had forgotten about was universal design. A lot of the instructional designers that worked on this, worked on everything that was done, actually worked from an underpinning of thinking of universal design. So that means really thinking of every type of learner that would be out there accessing the information. Glad you mentioned that, Yvonne. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much.
Representative Bose?
Erin Bose at large. Hi, Renata and Yvonne.
It's good to see you.
Nice to see you. When it comes to your question about things that were beneficial that came out of the remote learning period, I personally think that the Keep Learning website itself is extremely beneficial. When it comes to kind of taking the policies that Faculty Senate and AQ come out with and then transforming them into more digestible material for students and kind of hitting at those actual scenario-based things. I think Keep Learning does a really good job at that. And I think, you know, the Keep Learning, although it was focused with COVID, there's many things that come into a barrier for a pathway to graduation for a student, thinking of like military withdrawal or any situational type of experience that a student might come up that they need to have that situational kind of reflection of how to keep learning. So I think that the upkeep of that website might be one of the most beneficial things, just because I know on our side it's oftentimes hard to translate Faculty Senate policy, but I think the website does a very good job at it.
We're so glad you said that.
Yeah, that makes me feel better. Just, you know, all the work that's gone into that, because we're like, oh, you know, we think this is something good to keep going, but is it really good? But it is that translation. And I think what you said about scenarios, where it takes the policy and it translates it into like, so you're in this situation, should you do this? Should you do that? And that's really critical. I think one of the other good things about those websites is it's not related to an office. It's a Penn State website. And so it pulls in information from so many different sources and then combines it in one place. So I'm so happy you said that, Erin, because it's one of the things I think we want to keep going And you just reaffirmed that commitment. So thank you.
Yeah, and in fact, I'm going to add that just recently, just within like the past week, there has been a new addition. I'm going to put it right in here because we're featuring it tomorrow when we meet with all the academic leaders at the university. We're featuring this particular item, which is, and I see I have to get the whole list there. It is the virtual study groups, and there's some new videos, and some students helped create these. So it's really kind of nice. And we are not resting on any laurels we have with regard to the good work that's here. We're continuing evaluating and making sure that the best information is there and it's useful to students. So thanks for that, that boost.
All right, we'll make this our kind of last remark. And I know Representative Reynolds put something in the chat just so that you both know, but Representative Gibbard.
Yeah, hi, Sydney
Yeah.
Gibbard. I'm from the College of Engineering, but I also sit on faculty senate as a student senator. But one thing we've been talking about in UPUA recently is anti-bias and discrimination training for students at Penn State. And I know we've talked a lot about this within the Academic Affairs Committee within UPUA, but also I know it's been a conversation within faculty senate in the past. But I was just wondering if this is something you've been having conversations about recently, and if you know like what direction this might be heading in. And yeah, thanks.
Such a great question. So I think this is such an important issue that it's, again, I would say one of those that doesn't fall to any single unit. I mean, if in fact we are going to be able to be successful at addressing any biases, whether they are, let's say, intended, because we do have some of those, or anything that is sort of lingering, that is part of the processes or things that we have in place, they don't fall just to one unit, they don't fall to one person, they don't fall to one, they really are collective responsibility. So while I think, as we were just talking about the Keep Learning website, I think we are going to be putting content in the future. It's not going to happen very quickly right now there. I think that that we often think of student affairs as a great place for that. And it is true. Student affairs is a great place. It's not the only place. And in the College of Engineering, we know that you have folks in the College of Engineering that are working mighty hard on these things as well. Your Associate Dean, Tanya Peoples, Dr. Peoples, is doing some great work there as well. So it is a collective responsibility. And so I think what you're going to find is that it is not channeled in by one unit, by one office at the university, but it is collective. Now, what I will say is we are benefiting from the commission that the president put together. And some of those recommendations have just come out. And now there's response and thinking about what are those next steps. And so one of the things that I think we're all looking at is what talent, what expertise, and what role do each of us play in addressing that. So look for more to come. I just have to say, I'm glad you asked the question, and because it gives me the opportunity not only to say what I think about the fact that it is all of our responsibility, but for you to sort of hold us to look at that and say, yeah, where do you have those things? So look for it. We're going to have more information, I would say, over the course of the next year. This is not done. It's not a one and done sort of effort that we need to put in. Yvonne, you might want to add some final remarks there as well. I mean, I know undergrad ed does a tremendous amount in the way it looks at all of these issues.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just looking at even with things like the new Joint Senate AQ committee that is looking at policies influencing equity. So the PIE committee, which is a very friendly name, who doesn't like pie, but really looking at what barriers do we create? How can we remove those? How can we be a more equitable institution? And things like too, how can we use general education then to create a space to talk about this and a formal space within the curriculum? So a really good question and very important work going forward.
Great, and with that, I do believe our time is up, but I want to thank the both of you for coming in. I can also send a message in our teams and keep gathering information for you, both of you, if that's something you're interested in.
That would be great, Lexi. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Please,
You know,
please.
all of you have been on our minds always.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Yeah.
why we do what we do. So any
Yeah.
information that you share with us, I can tell you, is not just seen by the two of us, but it's shared with others. And we puzzle over it, think about it,
Yeah.
and then figure out what to do with it.
All right, sounds good. That's something I can definitely do. Again,
Thanks,
thank you guys
Lexi.
for coming in. Feel free to stick around, but at the same time, feel free to hop off as well. But again, we do appreciate your time, especially on a Wednesday night.
Well,
No,
we
thank
very
you.
much
Thank you for
appreciate
all
the
you're doing.
invitation. So thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we will keep moving down the agenda and with our last special presentation of the night. Nicole, thank you so much for being here. Nicole serves as the Latino Caucus president. Again, you'll have 5 minutes to speak and then 10 minutes for questions, but thank you so much, Nicole.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm just going to quickly turn on my visual aid. So good evening, everyone. As Lexi said, my name is Nicole Jara Andrade, and I serve as the president of the Penn State Latino Caucus. Thank you for inviting me here tonight to speak about my organization, and I look forward to any questions that you may have about us. So just to begin, Latino Caucus is one of 3 multicultural caucuses here on campus, along with the Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Caucus and the Black Caucus. Latino Caucus is a student advocacy organization that was founded at Penn State University Park campus in the fall of 1989. So some history on how our organization came to be. The 4 existing Latinx student organizations at the time were looking to be represented in the now inactive University Student Advisory Board, which is the equivalent to student government at the time. The Puerto Rican Student Association, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, the Hispanic Business Organization, and the Latin American Student Association all agreed to be represented by Latino Caucus. This agreement established Latino Caucus as the representative group for Latinx students on campus to governing entities in and out of the university. So to properly represent Latinx students on campus, Latino Caucus adopted a delegate system consisting of different Latinx/multicultural organizations. This system of delegate organizations serves as a sort of board of trustees to the Latino Caucus Executive Board. So statements, voting items, and elections are all done with the votes of our delegate organizations as they each represent their respective constituencies. And because we exist more on the basis of advocacy for our community, we don't have a general body membership, as we see the entire Latinx community at Penn State as that general body. So any and all students are welcome to join us at our meetings. And since 1989, as more student organizations joined on campus, we have had over 10 plus delegate organizations. Our delegates consist of cultural organizations, Greek letter organizations, and professional development organizations. As of right now, we have 12 active delegate organizations, while the numbers typically vary between 10 to 15, depending on organizations being recognized as active RSOs to Penn State. And here we have a couple of in progress and as well as completed initiatives that Latino Caucus has taken on. Some of them are increased funding for multicultural resources, bilingual campus tours with admissions, in-state tuition for undocumented students, increased partnership with strategic communications, and permanent representation in student government. Many of these initiatives are worked on through our University Relations Committee, as well as our monthly meetings with university administration and the respective offices for each initiative. So the types of events that we provide are split between social and cultural events, as well as political awareness and educational events. So for the social and cultural events, we have community builders, which is similar to general body meetings where we have game nights, study breaks, and potlucks for the community. Our keynote event, which is coming up soon, is our Noche Latina, which translates to Latin Night. This event typically has performances, food, an award ceremony, and the crowning of our Latinx royalty through our pageant. And for political awareness and educational events, we have El Cuento discussions, which are monthly discussion forums on serious topics involving our Latinx community on campus and at large in the world. As well as we have our Latinx graduation, which is our annual bilingual ceremony to celebrate a milestone for those in our community who will be graduating, which has guest speakers and a reception. And these 4 events are only a few examples of the events we host year by year. But yeah, that is just a general outline of Latino Caucus. But of course, feel free to contact us, reach out to us in all these various ways listed on the screen. And thank you again for having me here to talk about Latino Caucus. If you are ever interested in learning more about us or would like to discuss collaboration in initiatives or events, feel free to reach out to our UPUA community representative or any of the following.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole. And just as she mentioned, I'm going to open up the floor for questions. So if there's a question, please raise your hand. Chair Rodriguez.
Najee Rodriguez, College of the Liberal Arts. Hi, Nicole. Happy Wednesday. Thanks so much for coming today and speaking with us. We really appreciate it. I'm just curious, as you've been witnessed and you've advocated for kind of a transition in UPUA's roles and responsibilities in terms of equity on campus, especially with the Latinx community. You've been around to see the advent of the community group seats, the battle for those. You've also been around for like the creation of the new committee centered on equity on campus and ensuring that underrepresented communities like the Latinx community are advocated for in their own student government, of course. I'm curious to know, what do you see as next steps to continue to bridge those gaps and inequities that exist, and how to better bolster the advocacy that we're able to do towards communities like the Latinx?
Yeah, so I guess one of the things is definitely helping to see where our community can get involved with the UPUA. I think that that's something that like is more of a, if you know someone who knows something about it, then they'll be able to explain it to you. So I guess it's just making sure that on our side, first of all, that we're promoting as well these opportunities here for our students. And then as well, just making sure that there is that clear communication between both entities so that we're able to create that middle ground so that students interested in joining and bringing these initiatives like the ones I've presented, that they know that this is not just like a closed space for, oh, you have to have this many things and everything like that. Like it's open to any student who's interested. So I guess that's the beginning part, is making sure that students who are willing to do the work see that it's possible. And then besides that, I think it just continues with the growing relationship between Latino Caucus and UPUA, which I've definitely seen increase a lot over my time within both entities. So it begins there. It begins with that clear communication between our leaders, just so that we know where we can help one another to bridge that.
Thank you.
Speakers on.
Steven Zhang at large. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for coming in today. My question for you is, I think as, well, I guess I am an upperclassman this year. Oh man, I'm old. As an upperclassman, I think, we've both experienced a lot and learned a lot about advocating for our communities, and especially, a lot of things have changed over the past 3 or 4 years, but at the same time, a lot has stayed the same. But I think that a lot of us, particularly in our multicultural communities, have had to grow and be more resilient than what we were when we came in, just understanding a lot of the inequities in the systems. What advice would you give to yourself when you first came to Penn State in terms of knowing and finding out about the different spaces that we can advocate in, the impact that we need to continue to make on multicultural communities? And what do you think would have really helped you get off the ground if you were someone just looking to start advocating?
Yeah, thank you for that. I've definitely found myself asking that, especially with our own like elections coming up. And I know that there's a lot of new faces who want to get involved. And I try to think, if this person was me my freshman year, what would I want to hear someone tell me? So I like this question. Just, I guess, first and foremost, the mental like toll and labor that it could take out, because it is a lot. You're pushing for initiatives and topics that a lot of places on campus usually don't have at the forefront of their minds and usually don't prioritize. So it's firstly acknowledging that and like accepting that for yourself, that this is not going to be a handshake, nice picture, and everything is happy and everything on campus. It's like there's initiatives that are worked on for years, and a lot of the times it gets passed down generation to generation of students, such as like an example, like the representative seats in UPUA for us. Like, it's first and foremost acknowledging that you need to have that mental wellness, and not even that, but you're just prioritizing your mental wellness so that you are ready to do anything else that you set your mind to in those advocacy spaces. Because besides then, it's just a lot about passion, what you're willing to commit to the work that you want to do. And then if you could repeat that second question, sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think both were about the same, just kind of more just about like the advice that you give to someone new who's just advocating for the community. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I summed it up. Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing I would say is looking out for your mental wellness firstly, because especially with the culture shock, excuse me, that I guess I personally experienced when I came to Penn State at a PWI. Like, that's the first thing that you kind of experience. And then it's just breaking down those layers and realizing the new environment that you're in compared to what you may have been used to previously to Penn State. It's a lot of just mental preparation if you want to get real work done. Otherwise, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions? We do have a little bit of time. All right, seeing no other questions. Nicole, thank you so much for coming in. Again, as I've been kind of saying, everyone, feel free to stick around, but also feel free to take your Wednesday night back. Again, we do appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me once again. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night. All right, we will keep moving down the agenda with Open Student Forum. If you are here for Open Student Forum, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no one here for Open Student Forum. And I know that President McKay did have an exam, so he's unable to make it tonight. So we'll go right into my report. First of all, hi, everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. I know it's kind of the ending of midterm season. I feel like the last 2 weeks have been kind of stressful in terms of academics, everyone that I've kind of touched in with. So I hope you're hanging in there. I hope you've also gotten some rest after the fact. If you're in the middle of it, please get some rest, space that out in your calendar. But just for me, for like, I guess, past like week and a half, today, Chair Rodriguez and I had a meeting revolving like a banner campaign that Chair Rodriguez has been spearheading. Very excited to say that we are getting some good progress on it. Yeah, so essentially with the designs, Chair Rodriguez's designs on Canva could very much be the ones on the banners, so that's exciting to see. But yeah, it was a very productive meeting. I see Chair Rodriguez is laughing. So yeah, our chair's artwork can be up there. That's cool. Yeah, it was a very productive meeting. I'm very happy to see that everyone was kind of on board. We have like very different entities at the university working on this. So I'm very excited to see this come to fruition. So yeah, that was very exciting. On Monday, also with Chair Rodriguez, I met with Mary Edgington, and we just discussed just future plans for a commemoration for Jesse Arnell, Wally Triplett, and the conversations that Chair Rodriguez has been having with the Public Art Committee. She just gave us her insight in terms of like the hub in general, gave us ideas going forward, and honestly like a mapping out what we have to do to keep going forward. Obviously, I only have about like 2 months left. So I'm excited to see what the assembly does with this. And I'm hoping, especially my transition materials, I know Zach and I will be including this. And I really hope that work continues, and seeing maybe one day a building named after one of them. That is, I think, the goal. Even with the Public Art Committee, that was an idea they brought up. So I'm excited to see progress going through with that. Other than that, only thing I want to also say is that, or actually last week, I think I forgot to mention this in my report, very small. Zach and I met with a representative from the Brandywine campus just to kind of talk about the different Zoom incidents that have happened at Brandywine and at University Park, seeing different things that we've been doing as a student government, and seeing what else they could do at Brandywine, and just kind of a collaboration between the two campuses, getting each other's feedback. I really appreciated the meeting, just seeing what they're up to and what they've been working on to combat these kind of incidents. So I was very excited to see that. And also very appreciative for the community survey meeting. I believe it was I'm not sure on the night, I think it was last Tuesday night. I was very appreciative of that. I'm hoping for more and continuing that on and having the assembly discuss those results, just because they are very relevant to the work that we do. The only other announcement that I have is student fee board applications are out and they are due in April. And if someone wants to jump in with the date, I think it's like April 2nd. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, okay. I see a nod from Barry. But April 2nd is the due date. So if you're interested in serving on the student fee board, I highly encourage you to apply. I think it's very interesting to kind of see the different offices that you come across and the different resources the student fee does fund. So if that's something that interests you and you want to talk more about it, I am someone you can go to, as well as Chair Mishler, Representative Sure, and President McKay. So please come to any of us if that's something you would like to talk about. That's really it from me. If there are any questions, I will now open the floor. Alrighty, seeing no questions, we will move on to liaison reports. If you're an affiliate or a liaison, you have a report, please raise your hand. Representative Bose.
Aaron Bose, moving on. So Moving On has the Spotlight series out right now. If you are musically inclined and you would like to be highlighted, show off your talent and apply at movingon.org. Go for it.
I know there's music talent in here, so I hope I see some people signing up. Thank you for that. If you are a liaison or affiliate and you have a report, please let me raise your hand. And if not, we'll keep moving on. All right. Seeing no other reports and seeing no old business, we will now move into a 5-minute caucus breakout. All righty. Again, love to see your faces. If you could turn your cameras on, understand if you can't, but we're coming down like 4 assembly, so I'll take what I can get. We'll move into new business, starting with line item A, Bill 1915, funding for Susanna Temko, a conversation on mental health inequality for the intersex community. Chair Mishler, if you'd like to introduce this.
Hi, everyone. Adeline Mishler at large. So Student Life is bringing a bill for an additional programming event, still grinding it out here in the 15th Assembly. And we really just want to have awesome, cool conversations on campus and serve our student population. So I'm going to yield time to an executive branch member, Sean Tierney, who serves as a legislative staffer, for him to really do a formal introduction of the bill, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Hi, everyone. So awesome to be able to talk to you all. Such an honor, and I'm really excited to talk to you about the bill. This is Susanna Temko. She is a policy advocate for intersex people across the world. She's based out of London, but because I have some contacts and some family over there, I ended up being able to connect with her. And she is really, really excited to talk about the intersex community in the US and how that relates to mental health issues within the community. Intersex people are 1.7% of the world population. They're not a small organization, a tiny subsect. They're a group of people with actual discrimination that they face on a daily basis, whether it's being referred to as hermaphrodites, which is really dated language, to not being able to serve in our nation's military. There's plenty of issues that this community goes through. And I think it's really important that we discuss and talk about this community and figure out some ways that we as leaders can sort of support them and move them forward in a positive direction. So I would love to have her speak. She is an amazing speaker. She has a TED Talk. I highly recommend you watch it. And I just really want to thank Adeline for all the help that she's done, and the Student Life Committee for all the help they did to put this bill together. I couldn't have done it without their guidance and support. And I'm just really excited to see what we can do with this. So that's basically all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Yeah, are there any questions for Chair Mishler or Sean? All right, Chair Mishler, question?
Yeah, so one thing I'll just say is that the date, I believe, happens just outside of the 15th Assembly at the end of March here. And so something that I just want to be really open and transparent about, and all of the responsibilities that us and Student Life Committee members are taking on is, we know that this is falling outside of the Assembly, but this is something that our Assembly is legislating and doing. So would love to have all of your participation to, as this is something, you've set your mind to during your terms, and really following through on everything to the finish line, whether you're staying in this organization or not. I think you should be engaged in this, and we're going to be doing a relevant collaboration with university offices to really get this bumping across campus. So there's plenty more work if this is something you're passionate about and would like to come on our team and kind of help be a facilitator of the event. There's plenty of ways to do so, as we will really be leading this. It'll be our little project. So come on board, and I will see you guys all there.
All right. Are there any other questions? And then if not, we can move out just in full discussion. You're good, Chair Leslie. This is the time, I'll make it clear, this is time for like full discussion. So if there's any discussion. Representative Brown.
Hi, Samantha Brown at large. I just wanted to say that Sean and Adeline worked super hard on this, and this is going to be truly an amazing event, an event not to miss. So please come out, spread out this information to all of your group meets, all of your orgs. It's super important. We're going to be discussing great things. So yeah, I just wanted to give a little shout out to them. It's going to be amazing.
All right, is there any other discussion? Chair Mishler.
Adeline Mishler Large. Yeah, also just wanted to be transparent with the rest of the assembly that there's plenty more work to do. So Sean and I are going to be meeting for contracting with the risk management department. Barry will be bothering Barry pretty constantly to make sure that the legalities are all in order, the contracts, all that stuff. So there's a lot of work to do, and I will make sure that you guys are updated every step of the way with our progress and how things are unfolding. So.
All right. Is there any other discussion?
I can amend the type 40 if I can just go ahead. It's going to be 87345.97.
I see second. Thank you. All right. Is there any other discussion? All right. Seeing no other discussion, I will now close the floor. We will now go into a roll call vote since it is a bill. So Speaker Zong, take it away when you're ready.
Yep. Arthur Kalor,
Yes.
Adeline Mishler,
Yes.
Alexander Wu,
Yes.
Amy Gary, Anna Taylor,
Yes.
Anne-Marie Round Sorensen,
Yes.
Blake Tolliver,
Yes.
Brian Schultz, Cameron McColgan,
Yes.
Kathy Manetti Zhao,
Yes.
Kara Flegel, Carter Gengel,
Yes.
Dan Risser,
Yes.
Emmanuel Almonte,
Yes.
Aaron Bowes,
Yes.
John Mark Miller,
Yes.
Joshua Reynolds,
Yes.
Kaylee Quinnen, Cara DeLucio,
Yes.
Kelly Snyder, Kyle Quinn, Lakin Meter,
Yes.
Lewis Richardson,
Yes.
Marie Meisner,
Yes.
Maddie McIntyre,
Yes.
Megan Dalo, Megan, Najee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Noah Robertson,
Yes.
Patricia Baranji,
Yes.
Rainier Foley Di Fiore,
Yes.
Raina Alexander,
Yes.
Refugio Lara,
Yes.
Ryan Lascalzo votes yes. Samantha Brown,
Yes.
Sarah Jordan, Seti Deshpande,
Yes.
Sophia Palio,
Yes.
I vote yes. Sydney Gibbard,
Yes.
Xiaoru Shi, and then going back, Amy votes yes and Kara votes yes. Was anyone else's name not called? All right, give me a second to tally this up.
All right, Bill 1915, funding for Susanna Temko, a conversation on mental health and equality for the intersex community, passes unanimously and specifically with a vote of 34-0. All right, we'll move on to line item B, resolution 5115, creation of communities of care. Whoever is presenting this, sorry, it's like escaping my brain right now, but feel free to present.
I can present it because I wrote it. So the idea behind this resolution was kind of with the Zoom bombings and all the instances of racism around campus and within society, that kind of motivated me to put this out there. It's been coming on for a few weeks now. I've been meeting with PRCC directors, and Raina's been super helpful with this, as well as J&E. So kind of the background behind it is that it's going to be a PRCC collaboration with UPUA. They will host, and we will both host. And it's like this event, multiple like 30-minute conversations about instances of like racism and discrimination within the community and what can be done about it. And the purpose is kind of to open communication and kind of make people feel heard around campus. So yeah, obviously there's a lot more work to be done with it, but I really think this is a starting point and I would love all of your support.
All right, are there any questions for Representative Zhao? Representative Zhao?
Kathy Zhao at large. I just want to make an amendment.
You're right.
It says March 4th.
Can we
well,
have
obviously
questions first before we get into like discussion and amendments? Just to open up the space if there are any questions. All right, continue going. I always just want to leave that space open.
March 4th is tomorrow. And that was the original date.
We were like, yeah, can she switch from
Patty, you have a question?
Excuse me.
I'm gonna mute.
I got my connection.
Continue going, Kathy.
Can it just be put as like March XX and I will figure out a date with PRCC?
Yeah.
And then another change, can you just add the word multiple half-hour dialogues, because half-hour dialogues just makes it sound like half an hour.
All right, I see the second for the First Amendment. Can I get a second for the second as well? Thank you. All right. And then overall, is there any discussion on those amendments? It's fairly friendly, but just again, opening up the space. All right, seeing none. Representative Zhao, do you have any other amendments? Okay, with that, is there any other discussion? Representative Alexander?
Representative Alexander at large. I'd just like to reiterate what Representative Zhao said. We know that this is not the end goal. This is just a starting point for developments into the future. We want to get input from across the community, and we know that that's really important. So creating a space, and especially a safe space that will have Zoom security and moderators from PRCC is super important. So I just wanted to reiterate that and yeah, just put that out there.
Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing no other discussion, I will now close the floor. Same deal as always, please open up your Microsoft Teams and head over to the General Assembly channel where I'll send the ballot, which is out right now. With that, please head over to Teams, vote as soon as you can, just I don't want to give it too much time. And if you have any technical difficulties, please private message me your vote and then we can figure it out from there. But head over to Teams as soon as you can. I'm going to give it about another minute. We're missing a couple people, so another minute and then I'll be closing the ballot. All right, the forum has been closed. Just give me a second to get the vote count. All right, resolution 5115, creation of communities of care, passes unanimously and specifically with a vote of 31-0. We'll keep moving down with line item C, resolution 5215, call for support of HR 5, the Equality Act. Representative Lascalzo, if you'd like to introduce this.
Hi there, this is Representative McColgan. Representative Lascalzo can't present right now, but first off, I want to say that this is really a lot of work that Representative Lascalzo put into this, so I want to give him full credit. This is just a resolution calling for support of HR 5. It passed in the House a few days ago, and it provides anti-discrimination protections for the LGBTQ plus community. And considering recent polling, there's about 1 in 6 undergrad students here at Penn State identify with the LGBTQ plus community. So it's really important to students here and can have a big impact on protections in education and housing that many Penn State students need. So we would just be creating a soft edge campaign and reaffirming our commitments to the LGBTQ plus community here at Penn State. With that, we stand for question.
Are there any questions for Representative McColgan? Seeing no questions, is there any discussion? Representative Gangle?
Hi, Representative Gangle. I just want to preface the importance of this to LGBTQ plus students at Penn State University specifically. This is just something that being passed would affect them forever and can really help, as you know, the bill's saying, prevent against discrimination, which will in turn lead to better mental health for these LGBTQ plus students, and it'll give them the opportunity to thrive in a world that is a little less hateful, and give them an equal opportunity to succeed just as much as their cisgender straight peers. And so I just wanted to say that I'm fully supportive of this bill and I think it's a great job.
Representative Robertson?
Hi, everyone. I also just wanted to express support for this resolution as well. This means a lot for me being able to see that pass through the House. I do have a quick motion to amend the second paragraph of the RCA, just to clarify a little bit. And so it would read, this campaign will advocate in support of the Equality Act to United States Senators Bob Casey Jr. and Pat Toomey, just providing a little bit more clarification to what that soft edge campaign is looking to do. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to voting on this and seeing how it shapes out. So thank you.
With that amendment, is that, I feel like it doesn't change the nature. So Representative McColgan, do you take that as friendly?
Yes.
Okay. All right. With that, is there any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, I will now close the floor. Same deal. I'm going to send the form right now. It is in the General Assembly channel. As always, if there are any technical difficulties, feel free to private message me on Zoom. And again, I'm not going to give it much time. So if you can head over and vote as soon as you can, please do. And I'll come back to let you know how much time you have left. All right, I'm going to give it about another 30 seconds. Please head over to Teams to vote. And if you can't, as always, just private message me. 30 seconds. All right, the form has been closed. Just give me a second to get the vote count. All right, resolution 5215, call for support of HR 5, the Equality Act, passes unanimously and specifically with a vote of 32-0. As we keep moving down with line item D, we have resolution 5315, support of collaboration with Hub Robeson Galleries for Mental Health. Chair Mishler, if you'd like to introduce this.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Another exciting stuff coming down the line. So this is a resolution supporting a couple different things that we have in motion. Hub Robeson Galleries right now is partnering with the Anxiety Project. If you were in the assembly last year, you did some engagement with the Anxiety Project and Dr. Doan, some really amazing work. He was formerly the Penn State laureate. The Hub Galleries right now are set up with his work, and then they're also doing some live in-person components of his talk that he does, Frozen in the Toilet Paper Owl of Life. So on March 11th, Wellness Day, they're doing those, a couple different sessions, one at 2, one at 6, one at 8, and they need some student leaders to help facilitate dialogue around mental health and toxic masculinity and other different subjects kind of involving and how art impacts us in our daily lives and also with mental health. So one, I will say, we need some involvement from the assembly, awesome opportunity to get involved and participate in something in person. That's cool in and of itself. Second, we are hosting a workshop, a Breathe Together workshop, which is a meditation and meditation meets art. Yes. And hosted by the Jana Marie Foundation and also Hub Galleries, lots of different partners. They're all listed in that resolution. So UPUA is going to spearhead one of those. Everything's basically set up, but we are really just like the community connectors, getting it to the students. So lots of outreach on our part. And that's about it. Just getting it out to students is the key part there. Yeah, and then in the resolution, I just put a lot of links. You can view these galleries in person every day. The hub's open or online too. So there's a ton of different ways to engage. I'm really loving bridging all these conversations, really robust offerings. The Breathe Together events on March 9th. So definitely mark your calendars for that as it is quickly approaching. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm happy to take any questions about this stuff.
With that, are there any questions for Chair Mishler? Seeing no questions, is there any discussion? Chair Mishler?
And I'll Mr. at Large. Perfect. I just want to reiterate that 2 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. in the Alumni Hall, and also virtually. When you go to that link and sign up, like the programming website that these people are using, it's so great. It's a joy to use. So definitely do it. But so you can do it, you can watch the performance virtually, or you can attend it in person. So we need like student facilitators. So like if you have a mental health experience and like you have a story to tell, everyone does. We want to have that. Even if you just want to help facilitate dialogue from other students and ask questions about the Anxiety Project, Dr. Doan, his work, his experience of an artist, we need you. So basically, any single one of you we need. So 2 p.m., 6 p.m., and 8 p.m. on March 11th. It's a wellness day, so your schedule's clear. Please contact me. I have the names. I'll talk about more of this in my report too, but I just want to use this time to really sell it. Please reach out to me. It would be a great opportunity to engage as a student leader and like collaborate in your community right there, again, live, in person, in Alumni Hall. I'm attending, so see you there.
Is there any other discussion?
Motion to vote by unanimous consent.
Is there a second? All right, I see a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? If I see any hands, it's how that you can indicate me. Cool. Seeing no discussion on the motion, motion passes. And give me a second. Resolution 5315, support a collaboration with Hub Robeson Galleries for Mental Health, passes unanimously. And Speaker Zong, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, unfortunately, well, maybe it's fortunate that we didn't hit the 9:30, but unfortunately, candidate Richardson, who it was our executive director candidate for Resident Equity, has work until 9:30 p.m. Therefore, I think I'm going to motion to table this until next week. Sorry this keeps getting tabled, guys, but yeah.
I can see a second. Is there any discussion? Yeah, I do apologize on the tabling 2 weeks in a row, but I also want to be respectful of students at work, so we'll make it work. All right, going forward and seeing no discussion on that, that motion passes and the confirmation will be moved to next week. We will now move into a report by the Chief Justice of the Judicial Board, Chief Justice Saya.
Hey everyone, hope everyone's having a good week. Just some updates from the Judicial Board. We just released a decision regarding the State College Borough Representative on the Twitter, so if everyone wants to check that out. And also with an update in regards to elections, registration period has begun. Everyone's probably seen the petitions going around to be a part of that registration in place of the in-person hub, going around to get those in-person signatures. We have the virtual ones this year, and that's going to end March 12th for the registration period, and should be really exciting going into elections.
All right, are there any questions for Chief Justice Saya? All right, seeing none, we will move on to executive reports. If you are an executive director with a report, please raise your hand. They're also sent out weekly, so feel free if you were a representative to check that out as well. But seeing none, we'll move on to report by the Speaker of the Assembly, Speaker Zong.
Yeah, hi everyone. A lot of my initiatives are in limbo, just waiting on responses and all of that, and they're a bit more long-term as well. I started my transition document. It's like just the title though, so kind of started. Encourage everyone else to kind of start looking towards that as well. If you're a chair, if you're a vice chair, and especially community representatives and academic representatives as well. There's a bit more nuance to all of that. So definitely within the next month, think about the challenges, the successes, the failures, where you might have had more impact, and where you can kind of let the next generation of those representatives and chairs know where to go. At the same time, I'd also kind of think about what different challenges were presented to you because of the online/Zoom format. Some of those probably might not exist next year, but others might. At the same time, if you guys have any specific criticisms about how Assembly was this year, please reach out to me and be honest about it. Like, I can take it, but it's really important that the next speaker knows exactly what went wrong and what went right. Where I did wrong, like I could really use that feedback. Especially also just in terms of like onboarding and all the retreat information, so that we know, especially this year with newer representatives coming in a lot more than returning representatives, understanding where we can be better in terms of helping people onboard and be more comfortable about the situation a lot earlier. There is a at-large representative application open for 2 vacancies. I had to remove 2 people because of repeated absences. So I encourage people to run. They're going to be due next Friday, I guess. But then realistically, they'll have 2 weeks to remain a representative. Maybe it's an opportunity for first-year students to kind of get more experience if they're thinking about running, just between that kind of like campaigning and elections period. But that's open. But yeah, nothing really on my end. I'm also trying to see if I can formulate some ideas for retreats and stuff that I'd love to pass on to the next administration, just from what I've kind of seen this year, and kind of formulate some of that so that we have a more substantial onboarding / like opening of UPUA for next year. So yeah, definitely let me know if anyone has any questions, concerns, also criticisms about everything and how it was ran this year. Thanks.
Are there any questions for Speaker Zong? Seeing no questions, we'll move on to comments of the committees. And I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to give you a break, Patty. Let's start with Chair Risser.
Hello, everyone. Lexi, I got really nervous when you said that. Hi, everyone. Hope your week is going well. So nothing much from me, really. We're just trying to review PSU votes, and we're really trying to make a seamless transition into the 16th Assembly. So if you're interested in anything gov related, we are meeting tomorrow at 7:30 instead of 8 because of the lovely Lion ambassadors. But yeah, Laura Shadle's coming to talk to us in 2 weeks, which is really exciting. That's open to everyone in the Assembly, I believe, either next Thursday or the Thursday after. We haven't confirmed the time yet. To talk about the importance of local elections and how we as UPUA representatives can involve our local community in local elections and get students out to vote, because this fall, not many people know about municipal elections, and they're so important to our community as students. So yeah, highly recommend everyone comes out to that. But other than that, have a great weekend, everybody.
Are there any questions for Chair Risser? All righty. Seeing none, I'll move on to Chair Rodriguez.
Hi. Thanks, Lexi. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you're having a great and fantastic night. Some big things that we're doing to get the ball rolling before the end of the assembly. To start, I just wanted to thank the representatives, Representative Gangle, Robertson, and Lascalzo for attending the work session on expansion of gender neutral bathrooms and awareness initiative. A lot of great work, and I'm really glad that they are able to spearhead that. In terms of kind of something Lexi referenced earlier, or Vice President Pathical, we did have a meeting with the borough officials and administration today to discuss the next steps of the banner initiative. So that's obviously picking up speed, which is great, right where it should be. And I'm happy to see that come into fruition. And I hope that Lexi and Zach are able to see that too before the end of their terms. I'm meeting with Director Zimmerman from Student Disability Resources tomorrow. Those who are on that initiative, I implore you to attend if you can. Again, this is just so I can get on the same page on her as when to schedule the informational webinar, and also when we can collaborate on a graphic splits for advocacy in regards to that realm. We recently had a meeting with Dr. Griffin the other day about a potential Center for Health Equity, which would be a combination of free physicals and prescription vouchers. I want to thank Chair Mishler, Representative Despande, Representative Kaler, and Representative McColdigan for attending. Again, your insight is always valued, and I'm really glad we were able to really start the process in terms of ensuring that there is health equity on campus. The next huge thing that I will ask your hand in, all of you, is not marriage. However, it is somewhat close. If you can check the teams, I would greatly appreciate if you could fill out a time, if you are free and comfortable with in-person tabling, to table for school supply packs. So we got outside tabling at the hub on Monday and Wednesday, and on Tuesday, we're on the Pollock Road entrance. So what that requires is I'm not physically capable of moving a table. I don't have the muscle mass. So if you're able to move a table, please check that out real quick and sign up for a slot. It's great bonding, social distancing, etc. Really need you there. So I would appreciate it. It's the last bonding experience of the assembly, essentially. Well, there might be more to come, but I would really appreciate it. So if you can't access the link, that's fine. I will send you the times and you just let me know, because I know some freshmen had trouble accessing that. Huge thanks to Barry. Barry, hi, Barry. Your camera's not on, but I really appreciate you for helping me out with the 25 Live thing. I don't know what I'd do without you. It's been like a 5-day process that's been very grueling. So thank you for everything, Barry. Love you. All right. That being said, I now stand for questions. Have a great rest of your day.
Are there any questions for Chair Rodriguez? All good, Barry. We love you the same. All right, seeing no questions, we'll move on to Chair Mishler.
I always seem to follow Najee. So, hi everyone. Okay, so again, I'm going to say it one more time. 2 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m., March 11th, Wellness Day. Awesome event. If you know Dr. Doan and you've seen him talk, thumbs up right now in the emojis things, okay? You don't want to miss this in person. If you're comfortable in in-state college, we would love to have you. This is a great opportunity to engage with communities and have meaningful discussions. Why else are you here at Penn State? I don't know. So please text me, tease me, email me, and let's get you on board. I'm going to do this little thing where I'm going to call out some names just real quick, because these people liked my message in the group message. So these are people who I think I'm counting on coming. But if you're not, then you need to be like, no, I was just liking your message because I feel bad for you. I'm not actually coming. So here's who I have. Kathy, Rainier, Lewis, Sophie, Sean, Maddie, Carter, Joshua. So I have you coming. Let me know if that's not true. So we need a few more, though. We need a few more. And I'm going to have to go outside of UPUA. And also, if you have other people, add Patty. Perfect. Done. Consider that done. Okay. I'm also trying to reach out outside of UPUA too. And there's other students that are doing this. But come on, like we want to engage. We want to. Okay. Next on the agenda. So there's a couple different programming events happening there. Breathe Together and all those things. So lots of logistics, lots of, hey, graphics people. We have the graphics. They look beautiful. So we just need to do our outreach part and we need to get people there. Everyone's laughing at me, whatever. Night of Remembrance. This is an event honoring the students who have passed in the last year. And so Student Life is coordinating that. Jacob Clipstein is helping us. So we're doing hopefully a live and a virtual component as well. We've had some planning meetings today. We met at 8 a.m. to go over all that. So lots of different little outstanding things to take care of. So that's taking up a lot of my time. I'm really looking forward to that event in April. At the end of April, we'll make sure we communicate dates. There might be some resolution coming on that, but know that Student Life is working on that. We probably could use an extra hand or two. And then also events and contracting is very much something that we're still involved in. Sorry, Barry, but we're gonna hold ourselves accountable here to the last day of my UPUA career. We are going to be working with Penn State Risk Management. So lots to do there. And then again, outreach and engagement, getting students these events that they paid for in their student fee. Looking forward to having those things. Lots going on in Student Life. A lot is happening. Really great things. And then also my Student Support Network team, we just met. I'm so sorry. We are trying to do big things and it's difficult, but we're going to keep going. Let us know if you're on that positive vibes wavelength. That team, you really need to be in it. I'm so sorry. I'm just something else these days. That's all for me.
Are there any questions for Chair Mishler? Alrighty. And note the date and times down. Put me down. Put my name down. I'll be going. All right. We'll go to Vice Chair Gary.
Hello. Sarah's not here right now, so it's me. Hi. So, I'm just gonna read off what she said. Setting up our Drug Awareness and Advocacy Day with Rep. Dalo and Zhao. On phase 2 of our hub space rooms for next school year. The UPUA is partnering with Days for Girls for period packs throughout campus. Really excited, and a bill is coming next week. Exclamation point. Be on the lookout for a survey from Representative McIntyre about computer labs. Please fill it out when you can. Facilities, see you Sunday at 12. Guys, facilities is really fun, and I think everyone should come to the meetings more. It's a good time. Thank you.
All right. Are there any questions for Vice Chair Gary? Also, feel free to text Chair Jordan or the both of them or whatever. All right. Seeing no questions, we will end with Chair Burunji.
Wow, I feel so honored. Thanks so much, because I was really holding on to nothing today. So this really made my day. But not too much from AAC. AQ is coming up, so I've been working with AQ on a lot of their initiatives. In terms of the AAC realm, we're just working on wrapping up our own initiatives. We have a meeting with GPSA to kind of continue planning the graduate student panel, so look out for that and help us promote that when it's ready. We're going to be doing it towards the end of this assembly. And then we just have a few like new initiatives that we're trying to like explore to see the best way that we can still continue to help students in this final stretch, still use the last of our faculty senate representative days to continue advocating for students. So look out for a few more initiatives from AAC in these coming weeks, some legislation, but yeah, that's all I have. And let me know if you have any questions.
All right, are there any questions for Chair Burunji? All right, seeing no questions, we will now move on to comments of the good of the order. Comments for the good of the order. Are there any comments for the good of the order? Representative Bose.
Aaron Bose at large. Do you like women's empowerment? I bet you do. Check out the website. Follow us on Instagram if I could type tonight. I'd like to see 36 people highlighted on the website as women's empowerment champions, because I'm sure that you all are women's empowerment champions. So if you go to the website, highlights, scroll to the bottom, you can highlight yourself or nominate somebody else. Isn't that nice? Check it out.
All right, are there any, well, actually, comments for the good. Chair Rodriguez, you're next.
Hey, oh my gosh, sorry, I was getting attacked. Why was I getting attacked? Because I forgot to send the link again to sign up for tabling next week. Remember to do that. Thank you.
I kind of believe that for a second. That sounded like a real, all right. Are there any other comments for the good of the order?
Quick one from me, just jumping in. Executive Director Biswas wanted everyone to know that the merch order forms, I believe, are going to be due on March 10th. So if you wanted to commemorate this amazing, maybe not that amazing school year with Zoom, you can go buy one of our quarter zips. I believe it's going to be $43, which also gets you customization on your right shoulder for name, assembly number, and your position, which is kind of cool. I think it's definitely a steal for all the customization. If you need it to be shipped, it's another $10, or if you want to just keep it in the hub to pick up, it's going to be that flat 43. It's going to be navy. I know it looks gray, but like Aphrodite makes it very, very clear that it's navy. Like it says so like 6 times in the form. So definitely do that if you'd like. The order form is going to be closing on the 10th, I believe, just to make sure that everyone has enough time to order and that gets here before this assembly ends. But yeah.
I highly encourage you to get one if you can. They're pretty sick. I'd like to have your position. It's also, I don't know, it's pretty sick. I don't know. All right, are there any other comments for the good of the order? Seeing none. Speaker Zong, do you need time for closing roll call?
Nope, did that already. We're good.
Always on top of it. All right, so seeing closing roll call has been completed. I adjourn this meeting at 9:01 p.m. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and a wonderful rest of the week, and I shall see you soon.
Bye.
Thanks. Have a good one, everybody. Najee, the dog came to my room. Lexi, it was nice to almost literally bump into you on Monday.
I wish I could have stayed to talk, but I was like running to.
Yeah.
I was like, hi and bye.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Goodbye, everybody.